Wednesday. We are on week 5. I'm sorry that I missed last week. I had some stuff come up with my pup, but we're gonna get right back into it. We got some cool little tricks and tips today. We're gonna play around with making wearables just a little bit more realistic, and all that fun stuff. Before we get started, does anybody here have any questions that I can include in the lesson today that they've been working on? All right, then let's get started. So we're going to open a brand new Blender page. Tell me if there's any problems going about and everything. I'm just going to be right in Blender. So we're going to start by importing our first, male model, just like we usually do. I'm going to go into my base models. Okay. And I'm also going to import this other guy. Kimono acid head. So we're in desktop. Alright, so now we have two wearables up here. We have our base male, and then we have my acid kimono, as you guys might have seen in the game. So I'm going to pretty much talk about how to adjust the vertices and play around with those. How did I get this shape? How did I make it more realistic? How does it look not flat? So the way we're going to be altering that is with the vertices of the mesh. So the way we can edit that is we go into edit mode. So we have our mesh that we want to adjust. We go into our object mode up here, and we're going to go to edit mode. And we're going to go into face mode to make it simple. We're going to do our tries to quads to make it even more simple. And we're ready to rock and roll. So if we go up into vert mode in this left-hand corner up here, it's this third dot to the left. So we're going to hit this dot, and it reveals all these vertices. This is what makes up the mesh. This is, point A, point B connections. So if we take any of these verts, we can move them out. Like in the last Wearable Wednesday with Daddy Chang, he was adjusting these vertices to make kind of like horns and stuff. But today I would really want to use symmetry and how to adjust those. So I'm going to go right into Y negative mode, which puts me right in the face in our gyro. If we just hit this green Y, it'll spit us right into this front view. And then also, if we go into wireframe mode in the right-hand corner, which is this like globe-looking guy with some crosshairs going through it, it'll bring up this screen where we can then, if we click and highlight, we can then select a whole set of vertices around the whole object. So if we have that selected, we can hit S on our keyboard, and this adjusts the size of the body. If you wanted to have him look like he was super skinny getting tight by a rope, you could have it there, or out here you can start making it more realistic. So that's what I'm going to be working on, is adding these bump outs to make a shirt look real. So all I'm doing is literally selecting these vertices and coming out with S. And as you see, I'm making it less flat now and more curvy. If I wanted to add a little bit more detail, I can grab this loop cut tool over here, which is like a square with a knife going through it. It's right above the knife tool. It's called loop cut. We can go in between these vertices and add new ones. So we're going to split this up just a little bit more. So with that being done, we can then edit more detail into the curves and rags of the shirt. Let me get it back into the front view. I'm just going around messing around with these different vertices, just making them this t-shirt look more realistic. And there's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. There's only right ways. Anything you do is basically making it look more realistic. So as you see, if we go back into regular mode, I've added some ripples to the shirt, like as if it was being scrunched up at the bottom. Typically how the sweatshirts in the game look. So as you see, we're starting to get this ripple effect. As you see, it's only on the front because we only added loop cuts to the front. If we wanted to add loop cuts to the back, we just simply do that as well and adjust those as well. I'm going to just get rid of these because this is a little bit too many verts for me. I'm actually going to completely start over. Okay, so we're just going to go back into here. And just so I don't have to keep control setting it, I'm just going to start right over. Go back into edit mode. If you miss this part, we're just going to go tries to quads. And then we're going to go into vert mode. What if you wanted to, adjust this like a dress? Like you wanted it to do kind of what the acid did. The bottom comes out a little bit. How do we do that? So if we hit shift on our keyboard and select these verts on the left side, I'm going to show you what we can do here, but there's a little thing we have to adjust first. So having these left verts selected, if we were to move these down, you see that the shirt doesn't move with it. We have to make sure that we sew these up here. So we're just going to go around and M and L it. So what do I mean by that is I grab a vertice, I drag it down, I click the vertice with shift on my keyboard to the vertice I want to connect it to. I hit M on my keyboard to merge, and then I hit L at last. So we're going to merge the vertices at last and sew this bottom piece up on this shirt. Okay, so now getting that left side all connected the way we want it. If we were to now move this down, you can see it moves the whole shirt, which is what we want it to do. So if we hit E on our keyboard, that's going to extend out the faces. So if we wanted to like build a face up, like having it have a dress that, goes the way the acid goes, we would click, hit E. Click where we wanted to go, hit E. Click where we wanted to go, hit E. And as you see, I'm not entirely doing it all in one sweep to make it look more realistic. And then, we have this flatness to it. We want to make sure that that curve stays there. So we're going to follow this edge right here, just looking with our eyes where we can match it up. So now we're starting to get this kind of sash style on the side. Make sure you edit it everywhere. As you see, the bum right here is coming through. So we want to make sure that we pull those verts out, make it bump out for the bum. I'm actually going to delete this face the way it is. I don't like it. And I'm going to go the verts. I'm going to click the corners of the verts. I'm going to hit face. And it just brings out that face just a little bit. Obviously in the back more, you want to be a little bit more like cautious with how you move your verts. Making it look, how the back of a dress does or a shirt. The way I usually find references is just on Google, and I'll post a picture in here just to kind of give myself a reference. So I'm just playing around with that, making it look the way I want to. And I want to make this connect like over, I don't want it to be a flat entrance. So as you see, we are now building this new style of, a creation off the base model. We don't have to start completely from scratch. We can use what they gave us. So as you see also, this is invisible right now. All we have to do to fix that, I'm going to select these faces. So we just need to add a material that is going to be our wearable material. So as you can see it, it's not always like that. Just using the black as a reference texture. Alright, so, basically this works anywhere that the verts are. We can build off of, if we wanted to have this guy have some like tassels hanging down, some like flag style things, we can just grab an edge. It doesn't even have to be a vert. We can hit E and extrude that out. Hit E and extrude that one out too. Go into face mode and select the faces we just drew out, and we can assign it our material of our shirt. And as you see, these hangers are coming down, typical warrior attire. We have some of these, tassel hanging down thingies. I don't know entirely what they would call them, but you're just literally playing around with how this mesh works and stuff, and as that body rotates, those will move as well, so you have to keep that in mind. If this is one flat piece right here, you're gonna have to add some loop cuts in. You want to split this up so it can move along the desired path you want it to. So we're just literally clicking, and it's dividing that up into a little mesh for us. Kind of follows the same amount that we have out there. So when we move, go into pose mode, as you see, when we move, they have a little bit more to move on, but you're gonna have to adjust it so when it comes down like that, it won't come in. And the ways you can do that is just literally playing around with weight painting and adding more vertices and stuff. So I'm just gonna Control Z that out. Alright, we'll delete those faces. So we're literally just playing around with this model. How can we use the base model to our advantage? Like a lot of people, when they get into wearable making, it's very intimidating. You think you have to start from ground zero, and we don't. We literally have this amazing model that they've provided for us. So I'm gonna do the next thing. So we're gonna go into our armature, and we're gonna actually select our head. I just want to get rid of that for now. I'm just making it invisible so I don't see it. And I'm also gonna make this material black. I'm just gonna use this all for just a reference that this is all black. Turn down the specular so it looks a little bit better. There we go. Alright, so now there's another thing up here. Our neck isn't fully attached just yet. So if we were to take these verts up at the neck, it's not attached yet. So we're just gonna click quick M and L that. And as you see, I just cruise right around. Once you get in the rhythm, you can really just nail it down. And I'm just working right around. Doesn't take long. Even make a model for yourself that it already has this all done. So now when that's all attached, we can go back into our line mode. And we're just going to click these verts around the neck joint. Making sure we're symmetrical on both sides. We can then look on the front view. And we can hit E and extrude it out. This is where we want to bring in our head. So we're going to hit escape for just a second. We're going to make this visible again. Now we're going to hit extrude. Actually, we're going to go into wireframe mode so we can see this even better. Alright, so we want to make this like a hood. This is just another way to play with verts. So if we click right there, I'm going to hit and extend again. But instead this time, I'm going to hit S on my keyboard. Actually, I'm going to hit E, extend it out to where I want to go, and then hit S. And that's going to bring it out outwards. My apologies, my freaking mouse is annoying sometimes. Alright, so as you see, we brought that first section out. Oh my goodness, there's like hairs on my mouse or something. Okay. So now we're going to bring this out again. Hit S. And we can literally just keep doing this, making sure we're even and symmetrical on both sides. And I'm just doing this quick too. I'm just kind of showing how the verts are adjusted. And then invert mode, hit S. F. And as you see, we just brought that hoodie up and around. And now we can kind of go in and edit these vertices and bring them out. And we're literally just adjusting this to where we want it. And as you see, we're going right around, and it's not hard, guys. Not hard at all. This is very simple for everyone to do. Just making a basic hoodie. You know, say you wanted it to do something a little bit crazier, like, you know, have it be like a helmet. You know, we could do that too. You know, extend those faces out. Look back on, do an S view. You know, stuff that, you know, covers the eyes. Maybe something to come up on the mouth. You know, just some different things that you can do very simply to add to these creations. You know, kind of looks like this mouth. It's like a mouth opening up. You know, you want these designs to be a little wacky sometimes. You know, you want to make sure that what you're putting out there is different, unique, and it's you. You know, make this come in. You know, we're just literally adjusting these verts, and this goes for anything you're doing. You know, like if it's, you know, trying to make a dress, making a sweatshirt, just an object that comes off. This is literally how you do it. So we can even make that even cooler. You know, we're getting this like spiky kind of looking thing. So that's the cool thing about these, playing around with these verts. It's kind of endless to what you can accomplish. So literally playing around, nothing fancy. We're not using any fancy tools, modifiers, or nothing. We are literally using just our imagination within this art. Yeah, so I mean, like, literally anywhere you want to go. If you have two verts up here, you know, you don't want to, you can hit an M and an L, M and an L, make it all sharp. And we're literally adjusting this just to this craziness. It's your imagination is endless to what you can create. I'm just gonna keep going around, merging these verts, making everything look pretty. And this is good practice, you know, like, even if you don't even have an idea, you want to just practice a little bit of wearable creation, go in and play with some verts, you know, like, see what you can come up with. You know, sew some things together, get used to that. And again, I'm not even trying to make anything, but I am. It's abstract. It's literally, most of my designs were created on the fly, in the sense of, like, I didn't go in with a plan. And if you do go in with a plan, it makes things just a little bit harder because, you know, obviously you won't have a basic plan, but, you know, everything else should be just left up to the creativity. You know, we're just making this funky looking thing. We don't even know what it is. This goes also, you know, say, you know, we don't want to connect it right at the bottom. We could take our knife tool in our vert mode, drag this all the way up here. Say we wanted it to make it like a half shirt. We can do that. And I'm just going to use another reference texture. Just another solid color. And as you see, we could make this be a whole different material that, you know, this was like a sash that was draped on it. You know, going on the other side, you can do the same exact thing. And again, we're just practicing using these vertices. How do we use them? How do we adjust them? Can we use them to our advantage? Yes. So we're going to go right up and around. So now holding shift on our keyboard, I'm just going to start selecting these faces that interact with the other material. And as you see, we are literally working ourselves right around. Making it look like it was draped on his shoulder. Just playing around. And this is all you got to do to just learn how to use this thing we call Blender. It is a difficult program, but you'll get it. Another trick, if we go into wireframe mode, I can select all the verts around there. So you see, we're just literally just playing around. Say we wanted to have these have little eyes in them. If we select those faces by hitting shift, we insert faces, this little guy right here. Add some of those guys in there. You can delete them out. You know, make this thing just roar. You know, like anything, all the detail that gets added is awesome. You know, the more I play around with this, the more I like this design. So we're literally, you know, we started from a base model and now we're here. How far are we in? 30 minutes? Look at how far we are. This is literally how long it takes to make these wearables. Not too much. You know, you just play around. Literally just going around and adjusting these items. Maybe I want to add this guy out. This may seem like a little bit more of an advanced lesson for people who have seen, and this is really not advanced. This is very basic, very simple. You know, so don't feel intimidated. If you have any questions, don't be scared to reach out. Gonna insert some faces again, and I'm just doing this too so you guys see it a couple times. I always know that I learn if I see it a couple times. You know, this is starting to look sweet. You know, this is like a kimono of knives, you know. Same thing goes for the arms. You know, you can add things coming off of it, the tassels. You know, if we wanted to do a little bit of a a tassel swing. Maybe add some loop cuts in here. Okay. And then we're just gonna select every other face. I mean, every other line. Oh wait, on the wrong one. Let's go on this guy. And all we're doing is literally just playing around with like rotation, you know, how you want these tassels to come off. And then if you want them to be the other color. Again, no particular order. I'm just fooling around. And this is how things get created. This whole lesson is just teaching you basically what all these verts can do and stuff. Now you say you want to, like, you know, this looks awesome, but I would like to add a belt in. How do I do that? So what we're going to do is we're literally just going right around, going back into wireframe mode, selecting these faces. And I can hit this button, this beautiful button here called Extrude Faces Among Normals. It's going to bump it out for us. And I'm just sewing these verts together on the side. And as you see, you know, just for reference, I'm going to just make this another color. We wouldn't be able to do all these textures. We would have to make them in one single color map. So I'm going to just call it as red. And I'm just using the gyro tool to spin myself throughout this scene. As you see, we just added a little belt. Want to turn down the specular a little bit on that. Can then go into face mode. And we're literally just adding these different maneuvers to, you know, make this just a little bit more exciting. You know, if we wanted to do those red, we could. And before I color this, I just want to double check that I didn't accidentally select anything I didn't want to select. Spin around the head. Alright. Sign that. You know, this wearable's coming to life. You know, we're just literally fooling around with all these different verts, faces, and line segments. Don't have to be a pro to do this kind of stuff. Get a little pattern going. All right. And then, you know, you see this, how it bumps off to the side. We can go back into vert mode. Bump these out. Get more round. You know, having these verts and irregular spaces sometimes isn't a bad thing. Makes it look more realistic. Like if it was just like swaying off of your side. You want the edges to come out a little bit as if they were opening up, you know, with the gravity. The biggest thing is you want to make these move as if a real person was wearing them. We're just opening it up, making it look pretty. Start not to like these faces. We can just shift, select, and delete those faces. Same goes for the face. If you want to move any of those vertices around, you can. Make him have a unicorn head, you know. You know, that could be a cool, like, shrine thing that he wears on his head. There's a million things, like I said, you can do. Same goes for the legs as well. You know, making pants same way, but you work on one leg at a time. I like to do different things on each leg. Makes it just look a little bit more realistic. So as you see, I'm just opening up these verts, selecting and hitting S on my keyboard. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger on this side. So, you know, it's all about playing around, making it look realistic. You know, this side needs more playing around. And as you see, it's just coming to life. You know, this wearable is now looking more and more realistic. There's, you know, some verts you don't like. You know, we can play around by moving them up, making them bigger. And we're literally just playing around. So that's basic, you know, how we use the verts, the edges, the faces, you know, everything about that. I know this was a little bit of a longer single lesson today, but I really wanted to touch on this because, yet again, it feels advanced, but it's really not. But it's a very useful tool in creating these wearables, is using this base model to really work off of. We're at about 446 right now. I'm going to open it up to the Discord if anybody has any questions.
Do you have any tips on weight painting to make the wearables move a little bit less stiff in world?
Yeah, so the thing with weight painting, it is a very difficult art. It can get very confusing quick. When I typically go into weight painting mode, let me go back into object mode, select the armature, then the object, go into weight painting mode. With weight painting mode, I would definitely bring up your bone structure in this triangle area. So we can select through what each part of the bones is going to do to the wearable. So if we find like the hips, which is right here, so like this spine area, say we wanted it to alter this a little bit more. If we go up into this little ball in here, we can do a couple different things: add, darken, draw, lighten, mix, multiply, subtract. If you wanted to move it a little bit more, you would probably lighten. If you wanted it to move less, you'd darken. So, you know, I can highlight these areas and it actually makes it just a little bit darker. Not much. You know, we're working on very small amounts. We can do subtract, which takes it away faster. So, you know, that would make it not move at all. That dark blue. And you see how, you know, when we get down to here, it goes very fast to the green. We don't want that. You know, you see how it goes light blue to green to yellow. You know, we don't want to make this super amount of strength. You know, we want to work at it lightly. You know, just come sweeping through it. If you wanted the dress to move a little bit more, you know, you could add. Actually, no, it's dark. Which one is it? Lighten? Yeah, so it's lighten. So if we wanted to make this dress just a little bit lighter, as you see, I'm doing that by adding the color to it. But that red, see how we're getting really red? You don't want that. That's too much. It's going to just absolutely feng shui your whole deal. But the weight painting is definitely an art in itself. I'd mess around with it in Blender and then import it into Builder, and you should be able to kind of get it. If there's anything you don't want to move, you can always just subtract it out of the bone structure. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. I've never even tried that. Looking at the different bone structure for the weighting, so that actually helped out a bunch. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. You can just go right through these, and it shows you what moves where. You know, if you wanted something to follow something directly, the way you can pair it to a certain bone is opening up the armature structure right here in pose, and you can literally break down the tree's bones and just open it all up and go to like right toe base, right foot. You know, like you can attach it to the exact thing if you hold shift and click and then you pair it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Of course, I'm just going to